Talks to resolve the conflict in Syria will resume in Geneva on Monday. Progress was slow when government and opposition representatives met 2 weeks ago. But after the talks, the UN brokered a short ceasefire for Homs, which has allowed aid in and 600 of the most vulnerable people out. Our correspondent Nisreen El-Shamayleh is joining us from Beirut in neighbouring Lebanon now. Nisreen, talks set to resume today. What are we expecting from them?
What we understand, Elizabeth, is that the United Nations envoy to Syria, Lakhdar Brahimi, is going to meet with both delegations, the opposition and the government delegations, separately in Geneva today. He will be discussing with them the agenda for the topics they want to discuss in the next few days in Geneva. The two delegations will not be meeting face-to-face or talking. They didn't last time either, the second round of talks, Geneva 2, recently, so they haven't really sat in the same room yet and talked to each other in that room. They have been inside the same room together, but haven't really addressed each other directly, so we're expecting just today to decide the agenda for the coming days, with Lakhdar Brahimi talking to them separately. Among the issues that they might be discussing, more humanitarian operations like the one we've seen in Homs, maybe exchange of prisoners, but we also understand that the issue of the politics, the transitional government, the Syrian government delegation may want to delay that, avoid that maybe, because as you know, for the opposition, they want to see the President Bashar al-Assad out. However, the government says that's a non-starter. He is going to be part of any future government in Syria.
Well, meanwhile, inside Syria, Nisreen, that ceasefire in Homs, there's talk that that might be extended.
It has indeed been extended for another 3 days. It started on Friday. There were some security hurdles and some problems the first couple of days with incidents of shelling, with the ceasefire being broken and people getting injured. But on Sunday, there was a humanitarian breakthrough with hundreds of people being evacuated from the old city and hundreds of bags of wheat going in, as well as hundreds of food parcels. So it was in a way a victory, as Stephanie Decker explains.
Captured on video, the help they didn't believe would come had come. This was the moment when the first UN cars arrived in the old city of Homs. These people have been living under siege for a year and a half, and this, finally, their way out. A rare moment of happiness in a war that has brought nothing but suffering to those caught in the middle. Among those a priest, part of a few Christians left inside the old city.
They are hardly smiling. They're exhausted and starved. They are crying. We are crying in their support too. We want to see all our people happy. Every citizen has the right to live and lead a dignified life.
And this is a glimpse into how it has all unfolded. Discussions about who has already left, and those remaining waiting for a way out. But this has been an operation with great challenges. This is earlier on Sunday, activist groups reported casualties amongst civilians. But for all the difficulties, this day is being hailed a success.
Most of those who left are women, children and older people. They are receiving medical attention and relief aid. They are being received by government representatives and humanitarian organizations. We managed to overcome the challenges we faced in the morning, and the humanitarian operation will continue.
This was supposed to be the last day of a 3-day UN-brokered ceasefire. It has now been extended by another 3 days. Sunday's evacuation could be called a humanitarian breakthrough, but it's a small victory in a 3-year war that has left millions of Syrians exhausted and desperate for an end. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Well, of the over 600 people who were evacuated on Sunday, they included 130 men of what the government considers the fighting age. Those are over 15 and under the age of 55. There are special procedures. They need to come forward and lay down their arms and go through additional security checks with the government. They were desperate to leave. We expect that a lot of people in Syria who are living in areas that are under siege would like like to see the example of Homs being, and the truce that was implemented there being implemented in other places as well, because there are so many other areas in Syria where people are also living for months under suffocating siege.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Nisreen. That's Nisreen El-Shamayleh joining us from Beirut.